Not everything about living in the West is bad. It can be a good place to make your money, but with that often comes high taxes and a high cost of living. So if you are able to pack up and take your income or your money with you and move somewhere like Asia, you can be a lot better off. In this video, we're going to look at the opportunity cost of living in the West. Aaron here from Offshore in Asia. So if you want to do business in Asia, if you want to live in Asia, if you want to invest in Asia, we can help you to make all of these things happen. So the title of this video, the opportunity cost of living in the West, we're going to look at three things. So you've got cost of living, taxes, and then the compounding effect of those tax and cost of living savings over a period of time. Some people go out to Asia to start their business, to start from scratch. Some people make their money in the West and then move out to places like Asia. There are benefits of living in the West, but you might get to a point where you're in a position where you can take your income with you, or if you've made your money and then you want to then take your money to where it goes a lot further. That's when you might start thinking about making a move, because the fact of the matter is it has become very expensive to live in the West. Inflation has been raging. We've had central banks lower interest rates to just about zero. They're coming up now, but the damage is already done. We've had governments overstimulating economies and introducing policies to bring up the cost of doing business. And perhaps you've just found yourself at a point now where you're thinking, I'm making all this money, but it's costing me just so much to live here and I'm paying so much tax. There has to be a better way. Well, there is a better way, and we're going to look at that in this video. Okay, so let's look at an example. I've taken these numbers from Nomad List. If you're a local living in New York City, it's costing you around $3,485 each month just to live. Now, if you packed up and moved to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, as an expat, it would cost you around $984 a month. Let's say that your income is $4,000 a month. So when you're living in New York, you're saving around $500 a month. Now you take that same income and you move to KL and you will be saving more than $3,000 each month, or $36,000 each year. So just by taking your income and your life to Malaysia and living and working from there, you will have an extra $30,000 in your pocket every year. If you stayed in New York, you'd be saving about $6,000 a year. If you were able to double your income to around $8,000 a year and keep your cost of living at around $1,000 a year, the numbers are going to look a lot better for you. So cost of living is one side of it. The other side of it is tax savings. And this can be done if you structure your affairs and your business in such a way to lower your overall tax bill, which is very possible. Most countries in the West are relatively high taxing countries. If you live in Australia, the top marginal rate is 45%. Plus there's other levies on top of that. So you're pretty much giving up half of everything you earn if you're in that top bracket. And the fact of the matter is, all of this financial mismanagement that has taken place by central banks and governments in the West, all this free stuff that's been handed out to the public, all this free money that's showered on everyone, it has to be paid for. It does come at a cost. Nothing is free. And how this gets paid for is usually in the form of higher inflation and higher taxes. We're already starting to see this in places like in Victoria, in Australia. They've increased stamp duty and land tax on property, and this has been sold to the public as being a so-called temporary COVID measure that's supposed to last for 10 years, and then it's going to be removed. I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes a permanent fixture. So the point is, all of this stuff has to be paid for. The trend is getting worse. Things are getting worse in the West. We've got an aging population, more people leaving the workforce, more people needing care as they age, and all this stuff has to be paid for. So that means over time, there probably will be a further trend of increasing taxes in a lot of Western countries. Again, if you're doing business in Australia, you're paying corporate tax at 25%. You can take your business, go to Hong Kong and pay 16.5%. Singapore, 17%. If you're eligible, you can go to Labuan and pay 3% on corporate tax. There's a lot of opportunity for building your business in Asia, but also paying a lot less tax and having that extra money that you can then reinvest back into your business. So now we'll take a look at the third part of this, and that's the compounding effect. The first thing is, you pack up and leave your country, you get the immediate cost of living savings. The second part is you structure your business affairs and you lower your corporate and business tax rate and your personal tax rate as well, potentially. The third part is you take these savings from the extra tax saved, from the cost of living saved, and you invest that over a period of time, and that compounds over a period of time and can turn into quite a large sum of money. So we'll do another example here using the same numbers from the previous example. If you had that $30,000 in your pocket that you didn't have before, so you got $30,000 extra every year to invest, and you invest that and get a 7% return, over a period of 10 years, that $30,000 you save every year is going to turn into $443,000. 440,000 US dollars that you would not have had if you stayed in America. And that's at a relatively conservative 7%. Bump that up to 8% and it turns into $469,000. And that is just the cost of living savings. If you also were able to reduce your tax by incorporating in a lower tax jurisdiction and lowering your personal tax as well, and you contributed that to your investments, these savings through the lower cost of living and the lower tax could get you well on your way to being a millionaire within 10 years. It can absolutely set you up for life by coming out to Asia for a period of time. But it's not just the monetary benefits. If you don't have to work 40 hours a week now or 60 hours a week, whatever you're doing, if you can make enough money in 20 hours to live a good life in Asia, that's an extra 20 or 40 hours a week that you could be using to do other things, to pursue interests and hobbies. Or you can put that time back into your business to pump out more billable hours, improve systems, scale your business, do all those kinds of things. There really are so many benefits to moving out to Asia. That's why we base ourselves there, and that's why we run this business. There is already a strong case for making this move today, but you can argue that things are going to get potentially worse in the West, that it's going to get more expensive, that taxes are going to get higher, that your overall standard of living is going to decrease. So why not get ahead of the curve and move out to Asia now? There are tens of thousands of people doing this and people doing very well for themselves and creating really great lives out in Asia. Now, if you're interested in learning more, you can head over to offshoreinasia.com. We've got some free resources there. You can book in a discovery call as well if you want to have a chat to us about how you can get things happening for yourself. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one.